Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. It feels like we just left you, because we did.
We were just here.
But we appreciate you being here. Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Do us a favor, smash that like button for us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page as the quest for 50K is on. With your help, we hit the 40K subscriber mark last night.
Yeah.
So let's get ramped up to 50 here. Subscribe to the YouTube page from all of your burner accounts. And if you don't have one, create one and subscribe from there. Podcast listeners, we'd appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And, of course, a follow or subscription on your preferred podcast app. And a reminder to check out ALLCITY.com for all of our great merch, for all of our great events. I wrote my first Blackhawks Beat newsletter of the year. The first few will be unlocked, and then that will be a diehards only kind of a thing. And also at allchgo.com, you can find out about our Blackhawks takeover November 4th against the Florida Panthers. You get a pregame drinks and meet up with us, tickets to the game. You get the Fifth Third Arena pregame experience. You get to see the locker room there. It's a whole day of fun stuff. That's November 4th, allchgo.com. And, of course, if you're a diehard, you're going to save on that and all CHGO events. But get in quick. That's coming up soon, and those tickets are going fast, so jump in. The one for February 25th against Detroit sold out in a couple hours. Still a few tickets left for the November 4th game versus your defending Eastern Conference champion, Florida Panthers. So it should be a good time. So jump in there, allchgo.com, and join us at the UC on November 4th.
Going to be a good time.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
That really came quickly.
Yeah, I think...
Stop yourself.
I didn't say a word.
Yeah, I mean, we got into the season and it got rolling pretty fast, and in a blink of an eye, we've got 4 games under our belts, and Blackhawks are 2-2 and sitting in a playoff spot right now. You guys feeling good? Feeling that playoff push?
Oh, hell yeah.
They were also in a playoff spot at this time last year.
They sure were.
We were all like, uh-oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, what did they start,
were.
was it 6-4-2 last year?
It was way too good.
It was something like that.
I remember a lot of
They were
panicking
like
in the chat.
6-4-3,
And then November came, and they went like 1-11 or something.
Yeah, November.
Yeah, they got on track after
Yeah,
that.
they got the losing memo pretty quick in November. This is a different season, of course, but there's going to be a lot of losing still to come.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk in this show about the Blackhawks young defensemen. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But just so much fun beating Toronto, because all you get the next day is the fallout from Toronto. The hockey world is crumbling. We got Steve Simmons writing that the Hawks aren't making Connor Bedard available enough. What? He talked for 10 minutes on Sunday in your arena, Pudwack.
Steve Simmons being an asswipe? That's
Seriously,
weird.
I'm sorry that you might not have been there, but Connor Bedard talked for 10 minutes.
I don't understand how that guy still has a job, to be honest with you.
He
whiny
incites people.
little-
It's because
People react.
The paper that employs him likes the reaction.
He's like Toronto Jay Mariotti if Jay Mariotti cried more.
Yeah. Wow. We've got Toronto fans who are saying, Corey Perry wouldn't try that stuff if Ryan Reeves was on the ice. Well, he was for a few minutes.
I think that tweet was in jest. I don't think that was a serious tweet.
I don't know about that. It's just so funny. It's just a regular season loss in Toronto. It's like a Bears loss in Chicago. It is a week-long reevaluation of your life goals.
I did get into it with a Leafs fan. I tried my best to stay out of the muck, but I couldn't resist. When somebody was like, yeah, Corey Perry was too scared to fight Ryan Reeves last night, and I replied, he was too busy scoring the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
Like,
Too busy playing.
I'd rather have my Pudwack score a goal than be on the ice for 6 minutes and watch Mackenzie Entwistle dance around him to score a goal. That's just me.
Yeah.
Personal preference.
Just me.
We had a dime for every guy Mackenzie Entwistle skated by. We'd have
2 dimes.
a dime, maybe 2. Yeah,
At least 2. Yeah.
He plays Ryan
Well,
Reeves
he
twice a
scored
year.
that scored the goal in the preseason. That was pretty nice.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So that's 2 dimes.
So it's just fun to watch. And then after the game, some stuff being written, and we talked a lot last night about Alex Vlasic. We're going to continue to do that today. But after the game, referenced a speech after the Montreal game that Nick Foligno made. This is a quote from
was there a rain delay last night that I missed?
What's that?
Was there a rain delay last night
Yeah,
that
they
I
have
missed?
one in between each period.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
What did I say?
I'm making a Cubs Game 7 rain delay
right,
joke.
right.
Yeah, never mind.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I
I'm trying
missed
too
it.
hard
I'm
to
old.
be funny.
I'm concussed. So here's the
double
quote from
Jocelyn
Vlasic.
Tebow
He
here.
said,
I just realized that.
Foligno told us our play was unacceptable. We were kind of sleeping in the first 2 periods of that game in Montreal, and we still managed to end up with 2 goals. I think if we were dialed in, we probably could have won the game. He told us the goal for us was to finish this trip over 500. So that would be winning in Colorado. That would be a 3-2 road trip, which I think everybody in Chicago would happily accept.
Oh, 100%. Well, yeah. I would think most people would be okay with that. I think there's still a couple people that are saying, but the tank. And
Yeah, enjoy that.
We're not, we don't want to really.
Just the reason
Be in that
last year
mode.
was the tank was because of Bedard.
Yeah.
Yes, there are top prospects available in this draft too, but I don't think there's a Bedard level prospect in this draft. People like Celebrini, people like Eiserman. There's a lot of like names up there.
There's no consensus number 1 guy.
Yes.
There might be by the time Christmas rolls around
Right.
or the draft rolls around, but right now there's 2, 3, 4 guys that all
Yeah.
can be consideration. So
Which if the Blackhawks land in the bottom 5, 6, 7 picks, they're going to get someone pretty good. Like,
Yeah, there's still gonna be a
I'm
lottery
not,
team.
I'm not really worried about that.
and I can't believe I'm saying this. I trust the front office to, no matter where they pick, they're going to get the best guy that fits what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So if it's 1st, 2nd, 7th, God forbid they fall down to like 10th, 32nd because they win the Stanley Cup. They're gonna get the best player available and the best guy that fits what they're looking to do, and that Tampa pick might be better than we thought it was going to be because
Just not too good. Don't fall
Yeah,
into the into the top 10.
11th is good for me,
11th worst, please. That would be great.
but because
I really don't want to sweat out 2 draft picks in the lottery this year. It was bad enough last year. 2 lottery picks this year.
I still overall I think Tampa will be fine once
Yeah, I
Vasilevsky
think
comes
they'll be
back.
fine.
But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we're not going to be counting down for the gotta get number 1 pick. It would be nice if we get it again, but it's not about that. Last year was all about that, and got incredibly lucky for it to actually work out.
Yeah, and
You guys,
Reaping
some of
the
you guys in the
benefits.
chat and on Twitter are making me irrationally already hate Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop.
I love this comment by Alan K. Greetings, dedicated Hawk fans. Is it time for a swear jar for the word tank?
ooh, it might be.
Yes.
That might be the new donate $1 if you mention losing on purpose.
I
or
don't
being
hate
upset
that
about a
idea.
win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, getting a win against Colorado on coming off of a win over Toronto, like think about the confidence boost that gives that room to be like, hey, like we're 3-2 on this ridiculous road trip where we, haven't seen Chicago in 2 weeks plus, and you get a win on the opening night of the season against Pittsburgh, a team that loaded up to try and be a playoff team this year. You have a hard-fought game against Boston. You have a game in which, as Foligno says, they had a poor performance that if they had just picked up what they did in the third period for 3 full periods, you're probably talking about an effort that maybe you get a win. And then you get a win in Toronto, another team that is supposed to be in the playoffs. And if you come away with a win in Colorado against the Avalanche, who are, I would think more people are confident that they could be a Stanley Cup contender than any of the teams that you played before. I mean, 3-2 in that kind of stretch before you even play at home would be incredible. And it would be a really, I know it's, a couple shows ago we said we're out of the business of, or at least for me, I want to be out of the business of moral victories. But a 3-2 start with those wins, that's a huge victory for this team early on in the season.
I mean, I still with even if they go 2-3, it's still pretty good when you think of the gauntlet.
Sure.
Considering
they've
already
been
competitive in every game, even the Montreal game where they played like ass for 47 minutes.
They were a post away from tying the game in the final seconds.
Right.
But this is like that type of thing is part of the reason you overpaid for Nick Foligno.
Exactly.
It's why you gave him
and
$4
Corey
million
Perry.
and Corey Perry when everybody else saw that and go, what are they doing? I guess they just got to reach the cap floor. No, you're paying for more than just the production on the ice, and both guys have been very effective on the ice as well. But you pay. Foligno's a guy. He's like having another coach out there, but not. He's a guy that the younger guys are probably going to open up to a little more because he's a player. He's not. He's not one of the coaches. He's not. You don't want to worry about. I think some young guys may be a little. Gun shy to maybe not criticize a coach but question or so Foligno could be that that middleman there, but Foligno's a guy that keeps things loose. We see him in practice all the time. He's always laughing. He's always talking to guys, but then he's like the team dad.
Yeah.
And it's like when your dad says, hey, pull your head out of your ass, you listen.
Yeah.
So
here's what Foligno had to say about the quote from Vlasic. He said, they weren't supposed to let you guys know about that speech. In all seriousness, I just told them that we have a good team here. The past stays in the past. Let's have a winning trip by the time we get home. We should have pride when we go on the ice. And this is something that Foligno's been saying all year. The first time he spoke, the second time he spoke, he said, this team is not bad. This team's going to surprise some people. It's going to turn some heads. And I think we all kind of agree, that win in Toronto was impressive. The win in Pittsburgh was impressive. And I was talking to Carm before the show. It's like we're programmed because of the last few years of last year's Hawks roster and the years before Jeremy Colliton of just I don't care what the score is, they're going to lose. Somehow they're going to find a way to blow this game, to lose this game, and they haven't. And I think part of that is the coaching. Part of it is just a better roster. But you've got guys out there that are like, hey, let's go. Believe in this. And I don't want this to become a Kane and Taves were bad leaders thing. But the way they were more Taves than Kane, let's be honest. The way that Taves was behaving the last few years here, upset about the direction. Understandably so. He's a huge competitor. He's used to winning, but he was surly. He was pissed. He was unhappy in the locker room. That had an effect. Now you bring in Foligno, you bring in Perry. Foligno, who is just this constant optimist, happy to be here, has been on good teams, has been on bad teams. He's been through the gauntlet. It's a different kind of leadership. And I think that's, and remember when we talked to Alex Vlasic after last season, or was it 2 seasons ago? We talked to Vlasic, whatever it was.
When he said about the eggshells,
the eggshells,
last season.
That was or was that the beginning?
That was beginning of
this training camp.
That was beginning of last season.
Yeah, and he said it was like walking on eggshells in that locker room, and now it's a different feel. And he goes on. This is also from last night. Vlasic talking about Corey Perry. It's cool to have a player like that, not only for his experience, but the fact that he's been to the final and he's won a Stanley Cup. It's cool to have a guy like that and a guy like Foligno in the locker room mentoring the young guys. They're super vocal and super helpful for everybody. Yeah, that is exactly what Kyle Davidson wanted when he brought these two guys in. Oh, and by the way, Corey Perry's a point-per-game player at 38 years old.
Sure, of course,
which I'm sure will last.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's
leading the team in points.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the pace that'll last. Look, I think the difference between last year's locker room and this year's locker room is that it was very clear that the plan was most of the guys that were brought in, or they were the high-ticket players like Taves and Kane that were still on the roster, most of them were supposed to be traded at the deadline. Taves, obviously, his health led him away from that, but if he was healthy all season, I think that maybe a trade happens. Patrick Kane obviously was moved. Max Domi was moved. Domi and Athanasiou were guys that were brought in. Domi got moved. Athanasiou ended up sticking around, which worked out for him. But the error was these guys are all moving on. And a lot of it, I don't know how much of, you can really get behind some of the players where, it's not as spoken, but it's kind of, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Like, yeah, we're probably only here 50, 60 games. Perry and Foligno, I know they're 1-year deals, but they have a heavy price tag. And I don't know if the Blackhawks are looking to move either of those guys. And I don't know if they could, because you're thinking that if they're going to retain salary, like we talked about a couple shows ago, they have 2 slots. You're not going to use both of them on Perry and Foligno to knock down their $4 million cap hits. So I found it interesting that earlier this week, Pierre LeBrun posted in The Athletic his little sit-down interview with Kyle Davidson, and he asked them about the trade deadline and about guys like Perry and Foligno. And Davidson said, quote, "My thought on that is that we signed them to be Blackhawks. We didn't sign them to move them along. We targeted them and brought them in because we saw the value in them for us, and that's the sole focus." And so I think when you think about Perry and Foligno, they're here. I have no thoughts that now, sure, if they perform really well and a team comes to Kyle Davidson and says, "We're going to give you this boatload of stuff for
Here's
Corey
a
Perry,"
second or third round pick.
then you think about it. But I don't have any real thoughts about like them moving on. Like I believe that we're going to get a full season of both those guys here, and that makes a difference between last year and this year with the big voices in the locker room, because the young guys have somebody that's like, well, I can listen to this guy because he's going to be around as long as I'm around.
Well, and the messaging matters too, because I think that when Perry and Foligno were brought here, Davidson and Richardson told them, "This is why we want you. Mm-hmm. We want you to come here and teach these young players how to be professionals."
Traded for both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
When they
traded for the right to sign them.
He could have just waited 3 days and signed them, but traded for him, saying, "Hey, this is what I think about you."
And we want you here to do this. Whereas with Domi and Athanasiou, like you said, even if Davidson didn't say, "Hey, we want to give you a contract, we want you to help, we're probably going to flip you," he probably did. I would think he probably at least gave them that idea before they signed that very likely we'll move you at the deadline. So naturally, those guys aren't going to like solidify themselves in leadership roles. They know they're here for a short time, and even if the same fate awaits Perry and Foligno, at least they understand the assignment right now is whatever happens at the deadline, fine. Right now, our job is to lead this team. Whereas Max Domi signed with the Hawks to bet on himself and say, "Look, I need to have a good season here, put up a bunch of points so I can make more money in free agency." Ended up with another 1-year deal in Toronto. We'll see what it means for him long term, but he put up the big numbers. He was their best player for most of the season. So it's just a different feel around them. Even if ultimately they're all dealt at the deadline, the job description for Domi and Athanasiou last year is different from Foligno and Perry this year.
Yeah, with Domi and Athanasiou, every time they scored last year, we're like, "Oh, that trade value is getting higher." And with Perry, we're just like, "Hey, look at the production we're getting." I don't think with their $4 million, even with salary retention, there's not a lot of contenders out there that are going to want to add a $4 million fourth liner to their roster.
No.
And what value are you really going to get? I mean, is a 5th round pick worth more than another 6 weeks, 2 months of that mentorship to your young players who are going to matter? I don't think so. I'd rather have them here. And those are 2 guys that could be here beyond this year, whether it's playing or maybe Corey Perry takes the Chris Kunitz role and makes the passes at practice.
Sure.
Nick Foligno, Corey Perry seems like the type of guy that's going to play another 3-4 years.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think this is his last stop.
I mean, he's on pace for 82 points. I mean, he's not
still got
down. He's making a run for a second Hart Trophy here for crying out loud.
Right.
So let's see what happens. I mean, these could be guys that maybe they're back next year as the 2 veteran guys. If you're going to be bringing in more young guys, why not keep him around? It'll be the influence on the wave that comes in next year. Maybe you decide, Tyler Johnson's not back next year. Maybe you decide, well, okay, Taylor Radish, we're moving on from him. Maybe we're moving on from Boris Kachuk or some of these other guys.
Yeah,
and then you have the room to keep Perry and Foligno as those veteran guys, and you still have spots. They're not taking away spots from the next wave of young guys that are coming in.
Well, and also, there aren't really any certain forwards to move up next year. You can maybe think Nazar might have a chance, but that's probably still 2 years away.
Doc, if he stays on the ice.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's it. Really. Like Ryder Ralston is probably like a 4A kind of a player where he's up and down between Rockford and Chicago, and maybe eventually you find a full-time job for him there. But there's not like a bunch of forwards knocking on the door.
Nobody's going to get upset saying, my God, Corey Perry's taking away playing time from Ryder Ralston. That's not something anybody's going to say.
Yeah, I think as far as that goes, Doc is probably the closest of players that are already in the organization. I would be shocked if Frank Nazar doesn't play in the NHL next year.
If he doesn't?
Doesn't.
Really?
I think he's off to a really good start. I think whenever Michigan's season ends this year, he's coming over. I really think that having 2 years in college would have served him well, but I think the way that he's playing this year, the way that as long as he's healthy, the way he's playing so far, if he keeps it up through a full season, I think it's time for him. It would be time for him to make the jump.
I'm certainly not opposed to it.
I wouldn't be mad at it. If he's ready, get him here, play him.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
But even if that's the case, that's one spot.
Right.
I still got room for those guys, and
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys here, like you mentioned, like the Kachuks and Radishes. We'll see.
Those could be the guys that are moved at the trade deadline.
That's a good point. And this is a massive year for Taylor Radish.
Yeah, and so far not so great.
Yeah, he's just not really been a factor.
He was
at
good
all.
last night. He played good last night. He was he had his best game last night, but it's still like if we got that Taylor Radish every night, then we'll be good. But he's kind of a guy without a spot. Like last year, he was always on that second line.
Mm-hmm.
He was with Jonathan Taves for most of the season. Got comfortable. This year, he's kind of like, well, we need a guy to plug in this hole.
Yeah, he's going to move up and down
like
as injuries go.
That spray paint stuff you put on a boat to plug in a hole.
Flex Seal.
Yes, he's Taylor Flex Seal.
I just sawed this boat in half. The Blackhawks have 10 forwards on expiring deals.
Plenty of room to bring back.
There's a lot of turnover that could happen.
Next year's roster is gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
and I think some of these guys will obviously be back.
6 of them are RFAs.
So yeah,
I mean, the only one that I would feel comfortable guaranteeing is back is 2, Cole Gutman and Lucas Reichel. Those are 2 guys that of the 10, I'm like, yep, they're for sure going to be here next year. Everyone else, it's up for grabs. Dickinson, Perry, Johnson. What else am I looking at here? Foligno.
Is Dickinson restricted or unrestricted?
He is an unrestricted free agent.
Okay, interesting.
And then you got Entwistle, Reese Johnson, Boris Kachuk, Taylor Radish, all are all.
You got it. Come on.
All arbitration eligible RFAs.
Wow. We shouldn't say someone shit yesterday when I.
So I mean, there's the turnover is it could be there next season, and going into free agency could change things up too. But I think there's going to be spots for guys like Doc and Nazar. Who knows? Maybe Oliver Moore. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Macklin Celebrini. Who freaking knows? But the opportunity is going to be there for a shakeup in the forwards group. But I think if the idea of keeping Perry and Foligno around benefits a young roster, benefits a team that's going to go through some transitions, having some steady guys like that, I'm not against it at all. And two, you also made them part of the leadership group. Like, you're not really going to do that with guys that are only here for a short while. Like,
I wouldn't think so.
You know,
Max Domi never wore an A last year.
You got 10.
I don't think so.
As you just said, you got 10 potential forwards, if you brought back 2 to 3 of Perry, Foligno, and Tyler Johnson on cheaper deals, I wouldn't be mad at that.
No.
Depending on what else you're bringing in.
Yeah, that's not a horrible idea. And
I'm hesitant to give Tyler Johnson too much money.
I said on a cheaper deal than he's making now.
Like $1 million.
Yeah, that wasn't a contract given to him from the Blackhawks.
Right. Yeah, no. But if you give him...
Give him 3.
I mean, salary cap is not going to be an issue next year.
Well,
you got to hit the floor.
Unless you make a massive play.
Even if you make a massive play, you're still like $20 million shy of the floor.
Give him a year or two deal.
The three of them
1 year,
are
$3 million.
Yeah, sure.
The 3 of them are combining for $13 million this year.
You bring them back next year for
Combined $9 million. You give each of them $3 million. That's okay.
Or 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
At 3.5,
and
$7 million
and
for 2 of them.
Foligno and Perry's price tags were because the Blackhawks wanted to make sure that they were going to get those guys because they could have taken 1 year, $1 million deals to go on contenders, but they were like, oh, $4 million is better than $1 million. Like, I don't think
it's like 4 times more.
Yeah, right. You know. So yeah, I that was why you overpaid them, to make sure that Davidson could get his guys. You know, you play NHL 23 or 24 now that they have the roster update. You know, sometimes you go in there and you overpay because you really want to get that free agent on your team. It was to get those guys in the room to have the exact impact that they've already shown that they've had 4 games into the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of the reason you also traded for those rights, so you can get them on the phone and say, hey, this is the plan here.
Right.
This is what we want to do for you. Like, we're going to pay you more than anybody will, but we need you to do, these things. So, yeah, it's been so far so good. I mean, 78 more games to go. Let's see if we feel this rosy about those 3 guys in March, but I don't see why not, as
Colin Blackwell also on an expiring deal.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting he's around.
So 11 forwards. Yep.
That's a lot. Hey, we told you can get your tickets to our takeover for November 4th at allchgo.com. But if you're looking for tickets to the other 41 Blackhawks home games this year, you probably want to look at Game Time. It is a great place to get last-minute tickets, and you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Our buddy No Royd says got his tickets from Game Time for December 2nd in Winnipeg when the Hawks come to town. Use the CHGO code.
Nice.
Boom. That's what you should do. We'll tell you how here in a minute, but it's a great way to save on tickets. You wait till the last minute on Game Time, and those tickets go lower and lower and lower, and boom, then you pounce. Or if you just want to know you can get in the building and you don't have the patience, you don't want to take the risk, jump on it. You're still going to find a great price because they will match any other third-party ticket broker's price that you find elsewhere. You say, hey, it's this price here. Can you beat it? Yes, we'll beat it. Just let them know, and they'll get back to you quick. I know Herb said he did it once, and they got back to him within 10 minutes with a better price. So it's got great last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, which is great, so you know what you're getting, and the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They've got those last-minute ticket deals, flash deals, zone deals. It is easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event you want. It's not just sports, concerts, theater tickets, whatever you're looking for. Game Time has it. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Is it my turn?
I think so.
Okay. Hey, you know what else you can guarantee? The deliciousness of Goose Island beer. They have been Chicago's beer since 1988, and they are the proud beer sponsor of us here at CHGO. And they have a tremendous year-round roster of beers that will satisfy your thirst when it's time to crack open a cold one. You got the full pocket pills, the everyday beer that the Goose Island beer brewers are drinking. You have the entire family of Beer Hug IPAs, and you have the golden cans of 312, their wheat ale, their year-round staple of their illustrious beer roster. And coming soon, you have the Blackhawks Pale Ale, and you have the newly designed, I was just looking at the name, Bull and Goose.
Such
The
a cool can.
West Side Ale honoring the Chicago Bulls. It is a tremendous can design. Always like a good can. So get ultra fresh brewery exclusive beers like all of these listed and more when you go to the Goose Island Original Brew House on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or you can check out Goose Island's tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Again, that's the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
Lots of folks in the chat owe us $1 all of a sudden. It's not just Young Dangle God. We're seeing a lot
what is
of
all
re-signed
this?
Kaner stuff.
Knock it
What
off.
is all this?
Not going to happen, gang.
Hey, we're going to have a pizza for Thursday night at this rate.
Party.
Pizza party.
party.
I like a pizza party.
Hey, this just popped up on my feed on the
Hey.
topic of Corey Perry. If you guys have seen this, let me know. But the Hockey News running a poll. Is Corey Perry a Hockey Hall of Famer?
That's a
Do you want to guess on what the percentage yes/no vote is right now?
I bet you it's like 50-50.
It's got to be close to 50.
Pretty close.
Like 51-49.
It is 53.4 to 46.6
Favor of yes.
in favor of yes.
I say yes too.
It's a Hart Trophy winner.
Hart Trophy,
Stanley Cup
That,
champion.
that puts him apart. Is the
multi-time
Hart Trophy.
Stanley Cup, 3 straight Stanley Cup final appearances
Yeah.
at the end of his career. He's done it for a long time. Olympics, juniors. I mean, I'm not saying he's a first ballot guy, but he's one of those guys after like 3 or 4 years, you're going to go, why isn't he in the Hall of Fame?
Now, how many boxes does he check on the Blackhawks' alleged list of requirements? Is he going to hang right up there next to Marion Hossa?
I think they should have
I don't know.
retired. They should have retired 94 the second after he scored that goal last night.
just actually raise him to the rafters.
Just have him,
Just have him like just dangle up there
The reverse
entire
sting.
season.
Instead of going
Yeah.
down, it goes right, goes up.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm so it's funny because the votes, the no votes are just people that hate him and haven't thought about it.
Oh, sure.
Because if you just like remove the Podwakistan from his birth country, it's a yes. Like if you just say, "Here is this player. Is this player
Blind
a Hall of
blind
Famer?"
Fire
resume.
A stats.
Yes.
You're going to go, hell yeah. And then you go, that's Corey Perry. You're going to be like, ooh.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Then
It's like the old Folgers crystals. 'Cause you know you've been drinking instant coffee. Oh, how dare you?
Chris Farley just
Yeah.
freaks out.
Yeah, I mean he'll be north of 900 career points by the end of the season. Stanley Cup MVP, 2 Olympic gold medals, juniors gold. Like checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, he does.
He's a Hall of Famer. He is. I know.
Well over 1,000 games.
Looks
played.
like a World War II sailor.
I know
Yes.
he's.
He does.
I know he's got. His last few years, the production hasn't been there, but teams want him for a reason. It's
that
not because of the
happens to a
goals
lot
he
of
gets scored.
players,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. I think he is.
Yeah, I think if I'm voting straight up yes or no, I say he gets in. But I think there's some well-deserving players that aren't in that should get in ahead of him, but he should be in the line to get into the club.
Yeah, I think he gets there.
Yeah.
He's Canadian.
That's
Check.
that
World War
gets, that
II
gets you
World
a
War II sailor
Olympic gold and a
Yeah, that gets you. That gets
World
you
Cup
some
of Hockey
leniency.
champion as well.
Yeah, there you go.
2016.
A couple people in the chat were talking about they can't believe that Saturday's home game is not sold out.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm pretty sure it is because when you go on the Blackhawks app and you click single game tickets, it's all verified resale tickets.
Ah.
So I'm
So,
pretty sure the
yeah.
game's sold out. You can get tickets, but you're getting resale tickets.
Hey, you're looking at game time. Cheapest seat in the house, $77. That will go down closer to game time, but there are decently priced tickets for this home opener. Some pretty good seats too.
Well, now the Blackhawks said that they have 5 games that are already sellouts this season.
Chelios game for sure.
Chelios, yeah. I have to think
sold out.
Saturday's.
It's
sold
gotta be.
out. Especially if you're
Literally was just
saying
on
yeah.
the Ticketmaster app while you were doing when I saw that and you guys were doing the reads. I went on the app.
There's like
Single
it's a
everything is
Saturday. It's the home
verified
opener.
resale.
It's Connor Bedard. It has to be a sellout.
No, nothing is on the official Ticketmaster site for face value.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's got to be some kind of like
they're still gonna
kickback to the team.
advertise, get your tickets.
Yeah.
Because
Because there are tickets available.
yeah, people are selling them.
Right.
But
Interesting.
it's not
But
that
you're not going to be able to walk up to the box office and buy tickets.
right.
No. But yeah, use game time. I mean, it's a great way to do it. I'm looking at like if you want to sit behind the net, the Hawks shoot at twice, $212. That's pretty good.
What section?
That's section 118, row 15. That's right behind the net. I mean, there's a lot of good seats on Game
high-five
Time.
the Zamboni driver all night long as he comes
That's right. That's right.
at the same level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Game
That's not a
Time.
bad
Use the Game
get
Time
the app.
app.
Use the code CHGO, and you'll save $20 on whatever you decide to do.
Bottom line is there's no face value tickets left, so use Game Time to get your tickets for Saturday night's game.
Absolutely. All right, let's spend some time on the Hawks' young defenseman. And we talked a lot about Alex Vlasic last night, and we're sort of seeing as, like, one thing we mentioned in the postgame, if you missed it, is whenever a team plays in Toronto, you're getting a bunch of different kind of national eyes on the game, and they're watching these Hawks prospects. And aside from Vlasic, who probably played his best game as a pro, Kevin Korchinski continues to just look the part. And while none of these young players have been perfect by any means, there's nothing I see in Korchinski's game that tells me, oh, yeah, he's got to go back to Seattle and learn. No, absolutely not. I don't think there is anything that Kevin Korchinski can go back to Seattle this year and learn that he's not going to be able to learn here.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what is going there? And I think of Spaceballs when Lord Helmet is attacking Lone Star, and he just puts his hand on his helmet, and he's just like flailing wildly. What good does that do Kevin Korchinski? To just go to the WHL, skate circles around children, put up 100 points, and then come back and try it again next year?
He's not looked out of place at all in 4 games.
If it's adjusting to the physicality and the speed, you're not going to do that in a WHL.
No. I think so far the games he's put on tape, I don't have any concerns that are glaring to where it's just like, ooh, that's a problem that needs to be worked out against 17-year-olds. No, I think Korchinski has played well enough to continue to stay in that spot right there with Connor Murphy. He's been doing okay on the power play. I have no problems with him sticking around, and yeah, I mean, maybe we reevaluate this come end of November and see, a larger sample size, but so far he's been totally fine. And for a young defenseman at the stage he's at right now, being just fine is more or less a good thing. If you're not doing things to cost your team and you're not making glaring mistakes over and over and over, like you're like, oh, this is a huge weakness, you're doing okay.
Yeah, he's passing the eye test. There's no doubt about that. The analytical numbers aren't fantastic for that pairing. Murphy and Korchinski as a pairing at 5-on-5 have the lowest Corsi 4 percentage, 36.45, which means 36.4 the shots that the Blackhawks are total shots on ice while they're on the pair. Only 36% are for the Blackhawks, meaning 64% are against them. But I think they're getting more defensive zone starts. But they've been on the ice for 0 goals for at 5-on-5 and 5 against.
They're also defending the opponent's
he's
top
passing
team
the eye
too.
test. This is where you've got to do the mix. If you just looked at those numbers, you'd be like, oh, Korchinski he's got to go back to Seattle. But when you watch, you see he can make the plays. He's once he starts getting a little more confident and a little more aggressive offensively, he's going to start putting up points, and that's going to make the numbers seem better. As far as
don't pass up shots when you're in between the dash marks.
No,
shoot
it. Speaking of Corsi 4 percentage, the defensive pairing with the best Corsi 4 percentage is Jared Tenori and Wyatt Kaiser at 44.59%.
Interesting.
They've been on the ice at 5-on-5 for 1 goal for, 1 goal against. And then the top pair, Jones and Alex Vlasic, who we were raving about last night, and rightfully so, they have the most 5-on-5 time on ice of any defensive pair in the NHL. Granted, they've played 4 games. Most teams have only played 3. Some have only played 2. 49 minutes, 40 seconds of 5-on-5 ice time. Jones and Vlasic, 43.6% Corsi 4. They've been on the ice for 4 goals for, only 1 against.
Pretty good.
Seth Jones as an individual at 5-on-5, been on the ice for 5 goals for, only 1 goal against. Tell me more about how he sucks.
I know. It's he was great last night. The game against Montreal, tough game. Luke
could say that
basically
about-
called him out for a bad play in that game. But totally a great response from him. And I'm looking here, too, at Korchinski, like, individually. His individual Corsi 4, not just as a pair, is 49.22. That's 63 shot attempts for, 65 against. It's basically even.
Yeah.
And when
which
you
isn't
consider mostly defensive zone starts up against the opponent's top competition, which Connor Murphy's going to draw most of the time, that's good. Like, I'm not messing with the pairs. And Bijan says I prefer Korchinski with Jones. I'm not changing that. Vlasic and Jones look great together.
Korchinski with Jones you need a guy like Murphy with him because they can play off of each other's strengths. Korchinski can be aggressive at 5-on-5 offensively because Murphy is back behind him, and that plays off better. You don't want to turn Seth Jones into babysitting Kevin Korchinski's offensive instincts, and you don't also want Korchinski to not take initiative offensively because Seth Jones is there, and he could defer to Seth Jones and be like, oh, no, you're the more offensive guy on this pair. I'm going to hang back. I'm going to pass it off to you, or I'm going to dump it in so you can have a chance. No. You want Korchinski to be able to flow with what he does well offensively and have somebody back there like Murphy who can, take up the defensive slack. And Vlasic has earned the right to play on a top pair. And Seth Jones, you're not taking him off the top pair. Like, he's your best defenseman. But Vlasic has played the best out of the young group. And honestly, like, you could have a serious conversation between him and Seth Jones, who has been the best defenseman through the first 4 games. Like, they're playing together very well. Vlasic's defensive game is coming around. His reach is a big part of that. And we saw last night he can make a pass or two on Spring and Corey Perry on the breakaway.
Yeah,
Vlasic's got a pass. As he develops and continues to grow in the NHL, you're going to start to see a little bit more of that offensive upside kind of creep in. And as long as he continues to be defensively aware, be aggressive at the right times, his size is going to take him a lot of places. I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, I would not touch that Vlasic-Jones pairing.
No.
They were really good at the end of the 2021 season when he came here, and then we all thought that was going to be a pairing last year, but he took the Rockford route instead, and that's obviously worked a lot of wonders. I still wonder if that might still be in the cards at some point for Wyatt Kaiser. Kaiser has looked good at times, and he's also looked like a rookie at times. There's been some tire fire type plays out there. It's going to happen with a young defender. The thing that impresses me the most about Kaiser is when you see him, off the ice. He has like this swagger to him, his confidence. He's not like an NHL rookie in the locker room. He acts like he belongs. He's confident in himself. And that's something that's not coachable. That's something that you're born with, and you got to have to be at this level. But I wouldn't be mad if they get if Kaiser kind of either levels off or maybe digresses a little bit. Maybe you put him to Rockford and then you give Isaac Phillips a little run here. I think he's earned an extended shot in the NHL. Yeah. But so far, those 3 are exceeding expectations. There was a lot of worry about, 3 rookie defensemen. So far, so good.
Yeah. In fairness to Kaiser, and Dan sort of says it too, like, he is playing with either Tenorti or Zaitsev every night, which doesn't help.
Yeah, it's a lot different than playing with Jones and Murphy.
Yeah, and I want to. And by the way, Bijan clarified. He was saying he likes the lines. He just meant having Jones, Murphy, and Luke would be better for his development as opposed to juniors. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we misunderstood that.
Agreed.
Want to make sure we got that on the air, so Bijan didn't have that sitting out there for eternity in podcast land. The other thing I want to see is Korchinski get a little more power play time. Maybe power play 1. I know they're going to be hesitant to take Jones off of that, but I don't know. The guy's such a good puck mover. His instincts to activate and stay home are so good and so strong. I'd really like to see him get more power play opportunity.
Eventually, maybe, but I want him to be more aggressive with his shot. before he gets that way. Because with
fair.
Bedard out there, he's going to get so much attention. And Jones has been shooting the puck a heck of a lot on the power play, where if Korchinski's out there, he may be looking just to, I got to pass it back to 98. I got to pass it back to 98. Let him get a little more aggressive and confidence in his shot and his off, and then maybe you make that move. But, the power play it didn't take them 15 attempts to get their first goal because Seth Jones is on the top power play line and not Kevin Korchinski. I know, that shorthanded goal can be tagged to Jones, but overall, he's been fine. Like he's getting the job done.
Yeah, and I think Korchinski playing on power play 2 allows him to have more of a offensive threat to be featured more, because that first power play is loaded with talent. Right. And you want to have a guy like Seth Jones, who's a known commodity offensively, be in that group, so that the power play 2 group, Korchinski can quarterback it and be more of a threat, be more of a focal point to try and facilitate offense than to be, like you said, just kind of like passive as part of power play 1 rather than more of a focal point in power play 2. And yeah, be aggressive, shoot it more.
Yeah, Seth Jones, according to Natural Stat Trick, is credited with 1 power play shot on goal, but 9 attempts. So he's putting the puck on net.
Yeah,
and it's mostly coming from trying to shoot through traffic from the top of the blue line.
And Korchinski, in nearly 13 minutes of power play time, no shots and only 2 shot attempts. Yeah, I mean, shoot it.
Let it rip. Everyone on the power play, shoot the puck, but especially Korchinski.
Yes.
Hey, speaking about shots.
Yeah.
We got a DraftKings pick of the week.
Hell yeah, we do.
And we've been telling you guys since day one, bet the over on the Connor Bedard shot line. Last night it was at 3.5, and it came in again. He only had the 4. That was his lowest total.
3.5 on DraftKings.
Yeah. So we don't have the lines yet for Thursday's game against Colorado. Even if they bump it up to 4.5. Slam the over.
Yeah.
Keep betting the over. My advice to you is to bet the over on his shot totals for all 82 games. You're going to win a lot more than you lose.
You're going to be a net
At
positive.
the end of the year, you're going to have more
You'll have a
money than
profit.
what you started.
Yeah.
So our DraftKings pick of the week, parentheses season, is bet the over on Connor Bedard shots. It's probably going to be 3.5, maybe 4.5, whatever it is. Hit the over for Thursday night's game.
And if you're looking for fun too, last night I played Bedard plus 3.5 or over 3.5, and Austin Matthews over 4.5. Austin Matthews had 9 shots on goal. Like that Austin Matthews one is gonna be free money.
He had
most
9
nights
shots
too.
on goal after 0 in the first period.
Yeah. Those are 2 to keep an eye on. But all right, what point though does the Bedard number become a little bit? You said you're pretty confident at 4.5. 4.5, I get a little bit. I still think most nights it's going to hit. At what point do you start to maybe pull back on that bet a little bit?
6.5.
6.5? That's your number where you're like, I'm not going to.
I don't think it's.
I don't think
gonna
it'll
get high.
ever get that
I don't think
high.
It's going to get up that way.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
if Matthews is getting 4.5,
Yeah.
that's about as high as you're going to see.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, 4.5. As I said, you bet it every game. You're going to win more than you lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're probably going to win 2 out of 3.
Yep.
So yeah, that is the DraftKings pick of the week. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and you can use that promo code CHGO for new customers. You can get your $200 instantly in bonus bets by just making a $5 bet only on DraftKings Sportsbook with that CHGO promo code. The crown is yours. It is yours.
You're not going to do disclaimer?
Get the crown.
I
You have to do the disclaimer.
Got to do the disclaimer.
Son of a bitch.
I'm gonna run to
Deep
the bathroom.
breath.
I'm gonna run to
breath.
the bathroom while you do the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Is Cody still here? Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY for 67369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsible on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Sorry, Leafs fans. See cdkng.com betdot.co/baseball for eligibility terms and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Whew, that
Nailed
was
it.
pretty good.
Good job.
30.95 seconds. All right.
Very
I would have been
proud.
faster, but I got confused by this.
I started a couple seconds late too.
I got confused by that last line. It puzzled me.
Yeah. Mario, before we wrap up the show, you shared an interesting tweet in our little Slack chat
I
about
did.
the Blackhawks ratings. Now, we know that the Pittsburgh and Boston games, aside from Winter Classics, were the two highest rated nationally televised regular season games ever
on those networks.
on non-network TV.
Yeah,
right?
on ESPN and TNT.
ESPN and TNT. So what do we know about the local broadcast?
Yeah, so this is coming from Jeff Agrist, and he says through 2 Blackhawks regular season games on NBC Sports Chicago, they are averaging a 2.0 household rating in the Chicago market, a 233% increase from last season's first 2 games, which were a 0.6. And I don't know exactly what the numbers mean. I know it's like per 10. Is it per 100,000 or 10,000? I can't remember. I don't know. Either way, 233% increase in viewership of the first 2 games of the season year over year. I wonder why. Did something
Conrad
happen?
Bedward.
Yeah, did something happen?
Corey Perry. Everybody loves Corey Perry.
The Corey Perry effect.
He's a ratings darling. Yeah, I mean, people are tuning in. People want to see what Bedard is all about, and I think he was held off the score sheet last night, not for a lack of trying. Said it last night in the pregame. I think for him, there is a lot of expectations. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of attention. He's handling it well for an 18-year-old, handling it very well. I think for him, he just needs to get a nice, crisp, clean, catch and shoot, snipe, bar down, pick your corner goal, and it'll kind of get a little release a little tension, loosen up the shoulders a little bit, and allow him to kind of maybe feel a little bit more comfortable in the NHL and being Connor Bedard in this situation, because you go back and you look at his highlights from last year at the World Juniors, in the WHL, like he was doing that almost on a nightly basis. And now it's like, okay, well, his only goal in the preseason was an empty netter, and his goal so far this year was a hardworking play, but it was kind of a little greasy wraparound goal around the net. He, over his career, is going to make a lot of money sniping pretty-looking goals, and I think he just needs one of those to fall. And I think it's going to do a lot of good for him. So
They're coming.
You know what else is going to do a
keep
lot
tuning
of good
in,
for-
and you'll see it.
You know what's going to do good for Connor Bedard? Home games.
Yes, that'll
Yes.
be nice.
Home games
That
will
will be nice to be cheered
Yes.
That'll
by
be nice.
20,000
Oh,
people.
to be cheered.
By the way, I wrote about that media pressure on him today for allchgo.com, so go check that out. All right, we're back tomorrow at 2:30. We're going to talk to Megan Angley from DNVR. She's going to talk Avalanche with us tomorrow at right at 2:30, so make sure you don't miss that. And we'll go around the league a little bit as we haven't really had that opportunity yet to do so. So we'll preview the Avs, and then we'll go around the league on tomorrow's show at 2:30. Before we go, we want to remind everyone it is time to get fitted out in the best sports gear around at FOCO. Hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, banana hammocks, and everything in between. It is baseball season in some cities, but in Chicago, it is football and hockey season. So get your hoodies,
Is it really football season
your pajama
still?
pants, all that great
You guys
stuff.
aren't excited about Trace McSorley?
Who?
Yes, she sounds lovely. Everything you need for a game. And we got the great set decorations. Most of them, these are from my wife's closet, the Jocelyn Tebow bobblehead with the wrong colors on the jersey.
We should open up a thrift store called My Wife's Closet.
There probably is one. But if you want some stuff that looks right,
Play-Doh.
FOCO's the place to get it. Go to FOCO.com or click the link in our description below. And for all non-presale items, use that promo code CHGO for 10% off. And you can, right now, pre-order a Connor Bedard bobblehead on FOCO. So
Yeah.
join us tomorrow, 2:30, Megan Angley from DNVR, as we go around the league on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.